Ndị be anyị ekene m unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị iwuruchi taa. Anyị sị nke onye chiri ya zelu, a sịkwa na unu na-adị ka echi na-eche ada agwụ agwụ. Anyị sị na-adịrị nne na mma. Nke na bụ ndị na-ekwu okwu maka ọdịnama nke ndị Igbo, maka nnwere onwe nke ndị Igbo, maka nnwere onwe Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Anyị sị na Chukwu oke abịa ma ya gọzie unu niile n'ofu n'ofu. Otu anyị kwuru na-akụ ya adịrịrị ise ise ise. Dịka o si dị, anyị eje gbapụ na ya ọsọ igosi unu ihe the Biafran Prime Minister of Biafran Republic Government in Exile, nke bụ onye isi bụ Maazị Simon Ekpa, nwere nnukwu ozi o wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa. Ma chọọ ka unu bụ nwuchu ge ya bụ ife unu ga-etinye ya, ife unu emela anyị bụ unu atinye alụ, unu kọmentị ya gbasara maka ihe Biafran Prime Minister kwugasị ihe dị iche iche. O kwuru ife dị iche iche, mana chọọ m ikwu ya ka napụghị ka mmọnwụ. Gee ya bụ ife ị ga-esi ya, drop all comment gị on the comment section below. All right, over to you, sir.
But I don't have every right, to say, because I have a lot to say today. I didn't say that.
No, we bring on board next time. Like I said, we can talk for the next 10 hours.
Yeah.
But try to balance the panel so that everyone can come on board and share their thoughts.
Yes.
But then we cannot talk the whole time because we have other programs to coming up. So
yes. Anyway, the way to move forward and bring true democracy to Africa is what the Biafra people, of which I am the Prime Minister, is doing. Today, we are inaugurating the Biafra government administrative office in the United States, Maryland, Baltimore. And in next month, we are having the Biafra self-referendum convention, first ever self-referendum convention. It means that we are giving the Biafra people the opportunity to choose by themselves how they want to live. That is the true democracy. When you give the people the opportunity to decide. And so we are doing that and exactly towing that line. So we in Africa, we don't need to start killing. We don't need AK-47 when people say, I don't want again. I don't want to be part of you. It is universal human right. Allow the person to go. You mustn't say you will die here with me. No, that is not democracy. If Ambazonia cannot conduct a referendum to decide whether they want to be part of Cameroon, are you going to say it's a democracy? If Biafra cannot conduct a referendum and say they don't want to be part of Nigeria again, and you say no, it must be part of Nigeria, that is not democracy. So that's why my own perspective of democracy in Africa, there is no democracy anywhere in Africa, because anytime any group spring up and say we don't want to be part of you again, you go see military there. Anywhere in Africa, we must end in fight. It's not a democracy. So the West, even though every once in a while people use Catalonia to give example, yeah, they're not fighting for freedom, but they have autonomy. They have autonomy. In most of those countries in Africa, they don't even give them autonomy. So we need to begin to see the need to allow people who don't want to be part of you again to go. It is just the same thing like in marriage. When the husband says, I don't want to marry you again, you don't force the person to marry you. Otherwise, it's going to enter your debt. So Africa should look up to Biafra. We are coming. And it is going to happen very, very soon. We are going to lead by example. So everybody should focus on what Biafrans are doing and what we're going to do in the nearest future. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tapang, Ivor, what is the way forward for Cameroon, for Africa as a whole? What is the best way to go about instilling democracy on the continent?
Yeah, thanks. I did not know that I was coming on this show to talk about self-determination, fight for the creation of new countries and the rest. I don't think it's even related to the central agenda of today's World Democracy Day. That's another. Let's make another topic for that. I don't know, someday. But I would say there are a couple of key points that I'll gather from everyone seated here. Simon Ekpa mentioned something which was very critical, and I want to emphasize on it. First, the dissolution of borders, tribal borders, is great. But at a national level, I want to make sure that this is done. In the African Declaration, the formation of the African Union, even the seat declaration, the Lagos Plan of Action, that was all rolled out, that at some point all African countries should dissolve their borders, form a union or an African Union or United States of Africa, where we can have international commerce, international trade. That is a way forward towards staving off bad governance and the rest. Second, democracy comes with its own perk of hypocrisy. And this is the biggest challenge Africa is facing today. France supporting Ukraine, but France will not support the coup that is happening in Niger. France supported the coup that happened in Ukraine in 2014, but will not support the same coup that happened in Niger, nor the coup plotters. France and loggerheads with the United States, all them beacons of democracy. Africa should be ready to face these hypocrites. I would say it as bluntly as it is. Although democracy is good, it's a good political philosophy, why facing this hypocrisy? Why standing out to this hypocrisy? Why standing against this hypocrisy? We must also adopt changes to the kind of democracy we need as Africans. Lastly, I want to also mention that we Africans, like my friend seated here, Fabrice Lena, yeah, you are a politician, but guess what? The politician you're fighting against, Mr. Paul Biya, who is about 92 years old, has ensured that the next upcoming elections is prepared way much in advance for his son to take over. What are you doing right now? What are we youth doing right now? You in the diaspora, what are you posting on your page every day? Are you posting about your fashion show and your new suit, or are you posting about some political changes that you want to see? When we start engaging in political transformation processes, even before the election, we will see a mass mobilization of youth leaning more towards political changes than leaning more towards Afrobeats and all of those nonsense that you guys keep watching on Facebook. This is horrible. I want to summarize here, Mimi. Ask any African youth, oh, why are you not posting about this happening in your country? Why are you not posting? They say, I don't like me on politics here. I don't like this nonsense. That's politics is for you. That is the African mindset. But when election comes, Peter Obi the election has been rigged, and Peter Obi is no longer the choice or whatever. You see him going on Facebook, shouting and crying, fraud, 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 election rigging. No, these guys plan 5-7 years in advance. We Africans, if we want that change, we must start now. We have to start yesterday.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tapang. Thank you, Mr. Tapang Ivor. Your point is very well noted. I will give the final words to Mr. Fabrice Lena. Like Tapang Ivor is saying, the time to do it is now or never. Do you have anything to say about that as a politician?
Of course, I've always been doing my own part of the job, civic engagement, political participation, civic education to my fellow young people. I always tell them everyone is neck deep into politics. Politics is part of human existence. Of course, you should get to understand the basic things you need to know, which is knowing your full rights, your constitution, electoral codes of your country, political actors. Most especially young people in the continent need to understand track records of people who come up to be self-declared leaders, to be they are politicians, those who are in front, those who manage political parties, civil society organizations. They should be comprehensive understanding of the track record of these people. They should be, because it makes you to have a balanced view of who you're voting, who you're supporting, who you're commenting, who you're liking, who you're projecting, or who you're contributing for is very important. I know that there is always a huge gap between those in power and those coming up to challenge them, like the case for us, PAP in Cameroon challenging the incumbent president, government, power in place, which of course is a difficult one. It's a difficult task given that they have been there for the past 60 years. But this is not impossible, because I want to call my co-panelist, Mr. Ivor, that you've been singing about civic engagement, political participation, young people taking the consciousness is a good thing. Of course, you should also change narrative. I know that leadership is flexibility. If you have an agenda and you see that the agenda is no more adaptable to the context, you should, of course, acknowledge this to the people. Come clearly to the people and tell them that, of course, yes, this is leadership. Tell the people, yes, I stood for this and I see it's not working. And then I want to say, hey, guys, I'm sorry. And I think we should take this direction. That is leadership. What I'm standing for today is a new federal republic for Cameroon. And if, of course, over time I find that this doesn't work and I am unable to fulfill the promises I've made to people, I started politics relatively very young. I will come to the people and say, I'm sorry, and I'm quitting from this because I have failed to deliver to the people what I promised them. This is honor, integrity, and respect for whosoever that is standing up to say something. And I always say we should not be very sure of whatever we are declaring to, because the complexities of the international community is not always in the favor of African continent. Today,
Unfortunately,
we have
Mr.
US, we have
Fabrice,
we have these
time
people.
is
These
not on our
guys
side.
are
Mr.
at
Fabrice,
loggerhead.
Mr. Fabrice, we are ending
Just
your
allow me to round
time.
up now. 1 second.
Yes,
These guys are at
like,
loggerhead, and the issue of Cameroon or Nigeria is not in their fight anytime soon. The divided United Nations will not seek to take resolutions on Cameroon or Nigeria anytime soon concerning issues of self-determination, concerning democracy or the context of Africa. My word is simple. Each young leader, evaluate yourself, push your agenda without necessarily attacking, castigating, or seeking for the death of your fellow Africans. We are all Africans, motherland first, and the future is bright for us.
thank you so much, Mr. Fabrice Lena, for joining us today. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm grateful.
And,
thank you, Mimi.
Mr. Simon EKPA, thank you for joining us from Finland. It was a wonderful time with you here. We had a wonderful time with you here on DW Africa. Talk to you some other time again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because absolutely you've got a lot to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Ivor Tapang, thank you for joining us from the United States. We will be happy to have you some other time again. You were very, very insightful. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mimi. Good job.
And just to note that our guests were Fabrice Lena. Fabrice Lena is a political activist. He is a politician. He has been a politician since he was young, and all our panelists today were below 40. Fabrice Lena has also been doing a lot to promote grassroots democracy in Cameroon. We also had Tapang Ivor Tanku. He is a former Fulbright scholar and an advocate for an independent state called Ambazonia in Cameroon's English-speaking regions. We also had Simon EKPA. He is a lawyer by training and profession. He is this designated president, prime minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. He joined us from Finland. And before we end today's program, I would like to note that I thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, for taking your time to come on board and be part of this very, very insightful debate. On the sidelines of the World Democracy Day, we're looking at democracy in Africa and how it can bring about change, the change that the African population need. I want to make it very, very clear that DW Africa doesn't in any way endorse or subscribe to the views raised here on this program tonight. But as a media that is meant for the minds, this network believes in giving everyone the opportunity to air their views. That is why we saw a very, very diverse panel here tonight. They were here to express themselves and tell us what they think about democracy, what they think about change on the continent. We have heard from all the panelists, like I said earlier, Mr. Simon EKPA, Mr. Ivor Tapang, who believe that they will do what it takes to bring change, include lockdowns and sit at homes, that some may say deprive them of their freedom, their liberty, but to Tapang Ivor and Mr. Simon EKPA, this is the way to go as far as fighting for freedom is concerned. However, they also argue that they have the support of the people. Fabrice Lena, on his part, is coming from a very, very different perspective. He stated categorically that no one should impose their views on others and that violence is not the way forward in bringing about change and nurturing democracy on the continent. But the fact remains that the passion we saw on the program today represents the quest for young Africans to take control of their future. What do you think? What do you think about democracy in Africa? What do you think about democracy in your respective countries? We want to know your thoughts in the comment section. The debate continues. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mimi Mefo. This is DW Africa. Goodbye.
All right, guys, just stay on the dot there. Let's go to today's inauguration of the Biafra Republic government as in US. So let me just walk you guys through there now as the hot. The Biafra Prime Minister has gone there now. Let us just go there as the hot. Today's inauguration. Let's see how it's going. Let's set to go. Today's Biafra inauguration. Let's see what is going on here. Let me drop the link for those who want to speak about today's inauguration. Yes. And look, the part for waiting up for this interview. Simon, you're not supposed to go there, but PM, you're not supposed to go there. Why not go? You can stand anywhere. That is it. That's a show symbol. You are equal to the task. No matter the question, they throw into you. Yes. So let's go to the inauguration. I see the odds. Let's go to the streaming of the inauguration. Let me see who the streamer now. Let's go to the streaming of the inauguration. I see the odds. Okay, we have not this video. Let me see. Yeah, one of the video of inauguration, but a lot of video. We are going to do a live video now, but let me just show you guys what is going on over there. Today's inauguration day. The Biafra government. So let me look for the live video. That will see a few minutes. All right. Inauguration of the Biafra Republic government live and direct.
Happening live from here at the Biafra Republic Government Administrative Office.
Okay, let me bring the other video up so we can wait for the all right, the PL never come live on this inauguration, but maybe one take cup of tea so you can come live and inaugurate this house. So if you have something to contribute, just click on that link for us to just go out again, come back again. Click on that link, let's engage the floor and tell me what you think concerning this interview and the inauguration will take place right about now. So a few minutes, the Barons are going to come live and the inauguration will kick off. Everybody's waiting for him. I've checked other sister network. Everybody are waiting for Abraham to come live. So if I don't post the link, if you want to call, you want to give numbers to call. Tell me the thing concerning this interview. I say look with the part for the interview. Yeah, so number to call is on the screen. Tap that number and engage the floor with us. We'll see how the inauguration one go. What you think? Now, know wetin happen voice inauguration. A lot of things happen. A lot of people dey say Sabo, na fake, na fake. Now he has come to stay. It's my reality. It's like a dream come true. And even the Biafra lady, Madam Umada, she did. I say Madam Umada, Madam Zuka, she did live and direct. Let us look at Madam Zuka. Madam Zuka, where are you? Madam Zuka did the floor live and direct. So you see this Madam Zuka, she did live and direct. So things are happening. Things are happening. Just call in with the number or join the love conversation. So we just maybe perhaps I want you to drink water before you come back to life and talk to us. So there are some videos of position now. We now see. We have that video. Okay. A video of her also with the men in the ground. So many things going on this one. One moment, please, guys. PM, please stop honoring this kind of educated literary invitation. All these people with you have nothing. No, he went there and he said the record street. So now that will be the problem. Need to go. Why not go? He's not a prime minister. Go anywhere they invite him, will go now. Yes, man, he will go. So it's normal. It's normal for him to go. It's nothing bad. So there's one of the video will take place here also.
Yeah.
So today's inauguration, a lot of things are going up, going up. Let us have the few minutes for the Prime Minister to just come live. It's going to go live in a few minutes. Let's see if it don't come live. So the way also go kick us now because this is meeting. All right, join the conversation. Join the conversation. As we wait for him, let's go to one of the powerful listing. Yes. As we wait for him, let's do this. Let me just show you guys something. I'm not be the good like so guy video the one of issue. So let me just put something up for us to just wait for him. Coming guys, one moment. Where is that updates? Alright. Sharing the screen. Okay. So let me just bring this up for also most of the follow up before you come live. Going. Come on. Everywhere don't silence. Okay, we have the video here. Let's go with this one.
Partner, you're welcome to bring them along as well. We are now in the private entrance of our conference week with 40 meeting rooms available. Messukeskus Helsinki is a large venue, but we welcome events of any size. This is our largest meeting room in our conference week. All our meeting rooms are equipped with the latest AV technology, air conditioning or heating, and the Wi-Fi.
Messukeskus Helsinki has hosted world-class seminars, festivals, fairs, exhibitions, even TV productions, and of course international congresses. Thank you for visiting Messukeskus and Helsinki virtually. We hope to see you soon in person.
must go and listen to Simon Ekpa, who is doing a very fantastic job. Very great job that Simon Ekpa is doing. Very, very, absolutely fantastic job that he's doing. You must listen to him and share his videos accordingly. Very, very important. He is bringing a new dimension to this very awareness that we are making, and you must listen to him. Very, very important.
Are saying we want to be free. It is not only the Biafra that's
so are going to be dissecting this very, very important topic, because when it comes to democracy, it's a very, very important topic, especially now in Africa, that we are seeing young people rising and trying to make their voices heard. What does democracy actually mean, not just to you as private individuals, but to Africans as a whole? That's why we have a panel of very, very young people to talk about this. I'm being joined particularly by Mr. Simon Ekpa, who is a lawyer by training and profession. He says that he is the designated Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile. He's joining us from Finland. Good day to you, Mr. Simon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mimi, and thank you for having me on this program. And please, to just correct something, I did not say, it was Biafra people that elected me the Prime Minister of Biafra Republic of Neza. So just a correction there. Thank you.
All right. So as well, we have Mr. Tapang Ivo Tanku. He is a former Fulbright scholar and an advocate for an independent state called Ambazonia in Cameroon. That is in the English-speaking part of the country. He's now joining us from the United States of America. Good day to you, Ivo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mimi. Thank you also for having me on the show.
And of course, we are hoping to have other guests on the program today, but we are going to begin right away with you, Mr. Simon or Mr. Ekpa. Which name would you prefer?
You can just call me Mr. Simon.
Mr. Simon, tell me, what does democracy mean to you?
What democracy means to me is exactly what we are enjoying in the Western world. What I enjoy in Finland is what democracy means for me. Supposed to be the government of the people, for the people, by the people, and for the people. But in Africa, I don't think the definition of democracy is what we have here today. And I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to be part of this particular program, where we are going to enlighten people, especially those from the Africa, from the continent of Africa, to know that we, the modern, the new generation, and the Pan-Africanists are ready to change the paradigm shift, make a paradigm shift in African democracy. Thank you.
And Mr. Ivo, tell us, what's your own perception of democracy?
I look at democracy in terms of, I would say, let me disagree a little bit with Mr. Simon, because I believe there is democracy in Africa today, although it is still very nascent, although we need to strengthen the institutions for this democracy, for the foundation of this democracy. The mere fact that we have an elevated freedom of speech, the mere fact that we can communicate with our people, our loved ones back home, the mere fact that we have a diverse media prior to the 1990s when we had privatized, I would say, much more government-controlled media, the mere fact that we can spin up revolutions using the social media, we can dislike government policies, we can influence government policies. This is a leap from the past years when we had dictatorships. Africa is steadily moving towards that path, and we are on a track towards democracy. But we will not accept all of the Western forms of democracy that comes with sanctions, that comes with cultural norms, impositions. We need to tailor our own democracy to suit our cultural values.
And then I guess one of our panelists for today has already joined us, Mr. Fabrice Lena. Mr. Fabrice Lena, if you can hear us, thank you for joining us. Good evening. He's here to join us and talking about tailoring democracy in such a way that it can be beneficial for young Africans. I want to find out, you are both young Africans and you are in the diaspora. I don't know if you have followed some of the agitations against and for one of Africa's dictators, so to say. He's been in power for 30 years in Eritrea, the president of the country, where we saw people who are supporting and those who are not supporting the president. Young people were actually agitating abroad and they have been fighting. There's been a lot of destructions and so on. When we are talking about democracy, where do you actually place your level of agitation within this framework when we talk about democracy? That question goes to you, Mr. EKPA.
Oh, thank you very much, Mimi. Before going to addressing that your question, I would like to respond to my friend from Amazonia. He mentioned about tailoring Africa democracy to suit our own, way of life, and maybe we have to tailor the Africa democracy according to the norms and customs of Africa people. I would be very pleased if in his next response he can just mention one country in Africa that is practicing a true democracy and that is even close or closer to what he defined as what should be the true democracy for Africa, or to mention one Africa country that have tailored this particular democracy that suit their own custom and norms. None country in Africa has actually done that. So, having said that, when you look at the present democracy in Africa, I will take Nigeria, for example. Nigeria, according to the African people, they say is the giant of Africa, I believe. So when we are making reference to Africa, Nigeria should be one of the, the country that we can take solace from. So Nigeria, for example, in the last election, it is not just about last election, but in the last general election and the previous elections and other elections since 1999, every election ends to the court of law. Is that what we should be proud of, to call a democracy, where the people will go out to vote, they will be butchered, then after that, one who may have not even participated in the election will be sitting somewhere in the name of being a judge. And then people will go to the judge and the judge will decide who win election and who lost the election. This is happening almost everywhere in Africa. That is not a democracy. He is living in the United States, and I believe that, he should have, give me a very good instances of where some of these kind of elections in the United States end up to the court of law. We know that there are disputes sometimes arising from the elections, maybe election malpractices, or someone will have a divergent view about the outcome of the election. You would like to seek a redress. But in every African country, almost every African country, there is always chaos, there is always killings, there is always bloodshed, bloodbath during the election. And those who have more weapons or more talks, political talks, always win the election. And he is from Cameroon, today fighting for Amazonia. And in his own country,
and by Dalun Linnenu, if you get abo interview make say the Biafran Prime Minister of the Republic of Biafra in exile, Bonisibo Mazi Simon Ekpa, with Amazonian fighters and some other two people. Ebe Merifa Abuna DW African News. So ya be fair the ozi Tomanankaiti Ekita Boze Bois, Oka for Fuzo Kogu. One of fully fair argument Amegas Leba. Basta maka ka ebe ndị IPOB bụ ndị Biafra ji ọmụta sitati home ofu esi nọ ndị Abanzonia mana okwe nghọta bụ na anyị anụbakwu n'ọgụ bifo ndị abazonia bido wee nụwa ma ya bụ ife ekwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ ahụ gịnị ka ị nwere ike ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife drop ya na comment on the comment section below. Once again nchefu na ya bụ Eastern News 24 kasị na wetara nnukwu ozi adị oke mkpa. Danụ ụmụnne m ngwanụ ka ọ dị